everyone! Welcome to the K-pop Callout, a podcast where we have the conversations that K-pop fans don't have. I'm Honest.
And I'm True.
And today's discussion topic is, why do people get addicted to K-pop?
Yeah.
So the topic that we chose for today's discussion, why do people get addicted to K-pop? I think that it's pretty straightforward for the most part. It kind of encompasses like the K-pop industry, and it also encompasses like the K-pop idols and also the fans, like what's going on with the fans or the people who get into K-pop and who become K-pop fans. So yeah, that's something that should be stated, that it's not just going to be focused on like the industry or whatever. It's kind of an open question, and we have different points, but we're going to be kind of analyzing it from different perspectives, different angles, and focusing on like the different kind of groups that are kind of involved in this kind of question of why do people get addicted to K-pop?
Yeah. And the format will be like, we'll share our own lists of short points or theories, and then we'll go in depth, like we'll talk about a couple of them in depth. Not all, because we don't have time for them all.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So, who should go first then? Do you want to share your list of points first and I share mine, or should I share mine first?
I think you might have went first.
Okay.
So maybe
I think you're right. I think I went first last time, so you should go. You should share your list of short points or theories first, and then I'll share my list, and then we'll get into it.
Okay. My list of short points or theories for the question, why do people get addicted to K-pop, is because other fandom type interests don't offer as many rewarding experiences, like seeing your group hit milestones and break their own previous records, or seeing them just grow as artists and people. That was one thing. And then there are so many different music genres under K-pop that even if you change as a person, there most likely is something that you still like. Like, different generations of K-pop sound very different too. So, like, it's kind of easy to stay in it for a long time. And because K-pop groups are promoted with so much content other than music, unlike Western artists. There's an emphasis on the artists' personalities. And getting to know the idol's personality is addicting. And because of overwhelmingly good and satisfying visuals. Like, honestly, sorry for being shallow for a moment. But even when Western artists look good and the music videos look good, K-pop has groups of many people who are good looking.
K-pop's just on a different level altogether.
Yeah,
like, you can't even compare. Like, the visuals in K-pop, like, and when we say visuals, it's not just, like, the people. It's, like, the music videos, the performances, the costumes, the special effects. Like, I don't think there are no other artists from any other country that do it like K-pop artists do.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's choreo and, like, the fashion.
Yeah, the choreography, I didn't even say that. Yeah. I mean, the performances, yeah.
So, that's one thing. And because many people have seen that K-pop is a huge passion for many, so that alone makes them want to get into it too. Like, they're, like, willingly or, like, kind of trying to get into it. Because they have a hole in their lives or they are just bored. So they are willing to fill it with an interest that they know could fill it all. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
This is a really bad time to lose your voice for your recording. This is like the worst time to start losing your voice.
Okay.
You good?
And the last one is K-pop artists treat their fans and the group members as their own community. There are experiences, incidents, and inside jokes that only the community knows about.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even include that one, like the whole like community aspect of like being a K-pop fan.
Yeah. So that was my whole list. So now you can share yours and we'll just get into some of those later.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so my list of points or theories to answer the question of why do people get addicted to K-pop are, one, because of the constant and consistent content. So, like, it's easy to get addicted when you're constantly getting content and updates and interactions from your idols. Like, it keeps your attention. Another theory is, like, of course, I'm just going to mention it, but, like, obviously, I'm not going to focus on it. We're not going to focus on it for this discussion because we're really focused on it for other discussions. But, like, the parasocialism or the personal connection and investment aspect, like, feeling like you know the idols or, like, you have a friendship or relationship with your idols, and therefore you feel, like, personally invested in those relationships and in your idols' careers and success. Another theory is that K-pop is the ideal distraction or escape. Like, K-pop is beautiful, it's impressive, it's interactive, it's personable, it's engaging, it's clean, innocent, etc.
Yeah.
And another point or another theory is K-pop fans usually have something that they're missing in their lives that they're looking for in K-pop, or are going through something when they discover K-pop, like trying to fill some kind of void in their lives. And then the last theory that I have is the K-pop industry is very good at targeting, engaging, and exploiting a certain type of audience or certain types of people, both monetarily and emotionally, because the two go hand in hand. So yeah, those are my...
exploiting. But that's true.
It's true. Like, the K-pop industry, like, it's not random who they market to and, like, what kinds of, like, people they try to engage and, like, who, you know, they know would be easy to kind of... people who are, you know, might be more vulnerable or easier to exploit. Like, that's not a mistake. Like, who... like, the demographics of people that they target and market to. I mean, anyone could be a K-pop fan, but I feel like there are patterns or themes or, like, there's a lot of overlap. Like, there's certain commonalities that a lot of K-pop fans have, like, that you could probably boil down to, like, certain specific kinds of demographics of people.
Yeah. So, should I start now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start with this, the second last thing on my list. Because many people have seen that K-pop is a huge passion for many, so that alone makes them want to get into it too. They have a hole in their lives, or they are just bored, so they are willing to fill it with an interest that they know could fill it all. And
this I was to say this overlaps a little bit with one of the points I'm going to get into, but but we might be talking about different aspects, or our focuses or theories might be a bit different, so it's fine.
Yeah. But I have a question for you, Honest.
Okay.
Have you ever avoided something because you know that you'd love it and get into it, like, too much?
No. But I know you have.
Really? You haven't?
No, I don't avoid things that I think I might get into.
Wow. Because that's, like, so frequent for me.
I know, for you, yeah, it's really common, but I don't know if that's, like, common for most people.
Yeah. I feel
so
like
you avoid things. You avoid things that you know you might really get into.
Yeah, I feel like there are, like, it's like a certain type of person who does this. Like, we are people who get into things easily and too deep. And I wasn't always like this. But, like, lately, it feels like there are so many things I'm just like, nope, don't get into it. But K-pop for me was, like, the opposite. Because when I wasn't into K-pop yet, I was in, like, 2 fandoms. And it's, like, so little to me right now.
I was going to say that 2 fandoms seems like a lot to me. You're like, yeah, I wasn't into things. Well, 2 fandoms. Like, okay, that's something.
Yeah. So, I kind of started, like, getting sick of them or, like, growing out of them at the same time. And I felt like I had nothing. I kind of talked about this in like the previous episode.
Yeah.
So I felt like K-pop kind of saved me. But at this time, when my friend told me about K-pop, I knew something about it, but almost nothing. I knew almost nothing, but like one thing that I did know was that K-pop is like so big. It's like huge. And like people who are into K-pop are like really into it. And I was just like, if I got into this, I could really, really get into it. But I was willing to take that risk. Because for me at the time, it wasn't a risk. It was like, if I want to survive, I need to get into something.
That sounds so sad. That's a strong word. If I want to survive, I need to get into something.
Yeah, I'm kind of exaggerating with that word. But yeah, like I said, people might have like a hole in their lives, like something missing. So they just want to like really get into something, like willingly. But yeah, part of the appeal is that there's like so much, and some people need things to do to stay sane.
Okay, so that's kind of more your main point then, sort of, is like K-pop offers so much, and like people know that it offers a lot, so that might draw people to it, or it kind of makes people like maybe choose that over other things, possibly. And like I'm looking for something to fill like a void in my life, or to kind of distract me or entertain me or whatever. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
This kind of overlaps with my point, so I feel like it would just be natural for me to just get into my point right now, and then we can maybe discuss it more.
Yeah, I'm done, so just get into it.
Yeah, because that was one of the ones I was going to get into, that I was going to get into too. So the 2 points that I'm going to get into are that K-pop is the ideal distraction and escape. And then the other one I was going to get into, or that I am going to get into, is people using K-pop to fill some kind of void in their lives. So those are 2 things. So like it's kind of like overlaps with both of them a little bit, but like mine is still going to be like a little bit different, or probably pretty different.
Yeah.
So the first point that I'm going to get into is K-pop being the ideal distraction or escape. So I think one of the big reasons why K-pop is so addicting, or why it's easy to get addicted to K-pop, is because a lot of people are looking for a distraction or escape in their lives, and K-pop is the perfect distraction or escape, which is kind of what you were saying too.
Yeah.
In your point. And like, even though most fans are aware on some level that K-pop has its drawbacks and its quote-unquote dark sides, like K-pop presents a beautiful and engaging world or fantasy that fans can interact with in various ways. Like it has, like you were kind of, I think we're trying to touch upon this before too, or this was kind of encompassed in some of your points true that you listed earlier. Like K-pop has everything.
Yeah.
It has beautiful people, good/interesting/dynamic music, impressive performances, awe-inspiring talent, great fashion, parasocialism, fan service, lots of opportunities for interaction, lots of content, humor, fun, etc. And K-pop idols are also very accessible compared to celebrities in other countries, which is something that's like unique about K-pop. Yeah, like there are many opportunities to see and interact with your idols, both online and in real life, and also directly and indirectly. So it's engaging and interactive in a way that most media isn't, and that like most kind of like celebrity fan relationships aren't, like in other countries.
Yeah.
And since K-pop idols' personalities and K-pop culture are very filtered, K-pop projects a clean and innocent image, which is unique and appealing in a world that is filled with like so much violence and drugs and sex and drama and chaos and so on. Like things that most people are either trying to escape from and or are sick of constantly being bombarded with by the media, like in shows and movies and the news, etc.
Yeah.
And K-pop presents a happy, positive, innocent, and loving escape to people who are looking to distract themselves and immerse themselves in more of those types of things. So yeah, that was my first kind of theory, which kind of overlaps a little bit with a couple of yours too.
Yeah, like I've heard you talk to me about this before, but
Mm-hmm.
we should definitely talk about this, which is like the fact that K-pop is like quote unquote innocent, like you
Mm-hmm.
said. And it's so true that not all adults are into like sexual stuff and like
Yeah,
dark stuff.
yeah, violent, sexual, yeah, dark stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I'm not like that, you're not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I love K-pop for that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
so
Same.
like I don't feel like a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but like
It's
I'm
similar though.
kind
It's
of
similar.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a childish person to be honest.
Childlike person. Same. I'm a
Yeah.
childlike person too.
Childlike person. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just I feel like many K-pop fans are like that.
Yeah, I think so too.
We-
And that's like one of the big draws. Like it's kind of like all the people who are kind of like looking for something that's kind of more innocent and
Yeah.
clean and like kind of not childlike, because the K-pop isn't child. Well, that's a debate, I guess. If K-pop is kind of childlike, or but like it kind of brings. Yeah, it's cute and it kind of brings out those. Yeah, it brings out those feelings. It's more like it kind of like it elicits those feelings like that you had as a kid, when you're discovering something like a show you really love or a game you really love. Like it's like that kind of feeling. And I think that there are a lot of people who are looking for that in their lives, especially like in this day and age where it's like things in the world are very dark and chaotic. And there's so much kind of negativity and darkness and corruption. And then also like most media, especially Western media, is just like it's all like sex and violence and and like dark, creepy shit and like murder and like horrible drugs, horrible things happening. Like it's just like all about that stuff. And like K-pop is like this beautiful oasis in the middle of all of this kind of shit. That's like not like that. That kind of feels like sort of like it's just kind of innocent and pure and like kind of, at least that's the image, or like the kind of the image that's projected, or the way that it's kind of created to be like,
it's like the aesthetics, since we were talking about aesthetics before. Like Western aesthetics in like every show is like so freaking dark.
And
like I don't know, they're trying to make them all like mysterious and like creepy and like all of them are just dark for some reason. But like K-pop is so colorful and cute, and even when there are dark concepts, it's like the idols are still acting cute and like pure.
The
outside
idols are
of
still
like
cute.
Outside of performances.
But yeah, so I think K-pop that's like a big appeal of K-pop for like a lot of people. Like it's kind of like anybody who is like, okay, I'm sick of the violence, I'm sick of the sex, I'm sick of the drugs and like all the chaos and hearing about how the world is like going wrong in all these different ways and all the crap that's happening. And I feel like there's like an increasing number of people too who are feeling that way. Like K-pop is like the perfect escape or the perfect distraction from those things.
Yeah, and those things make K-pop addicting for everyone, but especially for the people who need this escape.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you done?
Yeah, I think I pretty much said everything.
So...
Yeah, so you could share your next theory, which I'm wondering if this would overlap with mine too, but that's fine if it does.
Yeah. So, K-pop artists treat their fans and the group members as their own community. There are experiences, incidents, and inside jokes that only the community knows about. Feeling like you're a part of something gives people serotonin. Serotonin, and makes it harder to leave. Every memory in the community feels special because it's something that you and the artist experienced, like together. To have experienced the same thing as your idol makes them feel less like a distant, unrelatable, and unreachable entity and more like your friend, which is crazy because these are celebrities that you've never even met. And other K-pop fans also have more respect towards fans that have been fans for longer because of these experiences. When someone is into K-pop already, that's a thing that makes them want to stay for longer. Like, I imagine there might be kind of like jealousy, or like I have seen some jealousy towards like fans who have been there for longer. Like, K-pop fans might be like...
I feel like I have so much to say about this, but that's not even relevant to this topic. I just have things to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, they might be like, man, I wish I was there since blah, blah, blah. And like, wow, you've been here since when they blah, 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 something.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, fans like that are respected. I'm kind of one of those fans. I don't think people really put us, like fans who have been fans for longer, up on a pedestal, but like there's still that like respect, and like it's only a small thing. It's not really a problem or anything that we should address, or is it? I kind of want to hear what you were going to say.
It's not relevant to this topic though, so I don't know if I should get into it or not. I think fans that have been in the fandom longer, like, they are put on a pedestal. I feel like a lot of it's just kind of stupid and undeserved, though. Like, because it's like, we're all just fans. Okay, so, like, you know how fandoms will, like, call people who've been there since, like, the start, like, the, fossil fan?
Yeah.
Fossils or something, like...
I remember, I've literally been called a fossil. Or, like, there was, like, a call... Yeah. There was like a calculation, like if you've been a fan before this, you're a fossil. So yeah, I am a certified
fossil fan. Yeah. So like you're not problematic or toxic, but there are a lot of like fans who've been fans longer who like they feel like they're more of a fan than fans who haven't stanned as long. There are a lot of fans who are like that. They feel like they are more of a fan and more entitled to like interactions or things from the idols, and they feel like they understand the idols better because they've been there longer. And they'll like shit on people who are like new fans, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we're all fans. Does it matter if you've been here for 6 years and someone's been here for less than a year? Like, we're all fans. And like also the content that idols have made, new fans can like watch all that and get caught up. Like, they can read things and watch all that and get caught up. So like, it literally doesn't matter if you were here longer or not.
I know, right? I mean, it's hard because there's like so much content, but it's still possible.
But it's also not like a requirement to like watch everything in order to kind of understand. Like, you get the idea. You watch enough, you get the idea. You don't have to have been there for everything. And it's also like, we can't do anything about like, like when we got into K-pop or when we got into a certain group, like we can't control it. It just kind of happened.
We can't turn back time.
We can't turn back time, and also it's kind of like, it's just stupid to think that like you're more of a fan or that you understand the idols better or that you're more entitled to things because you've been a fan for longer. But obviously, I think that another dynamic too is like, it's not all fans. Not all fans who've been fans for a long time are treated like, are revered in the same way. Like, if you've been a fan, like because you've been a fan for like 8 years or something.
Yeah.
But like you are not like one of like the loud accounts. You're not like one of the super big accounts.
Yeah, I don't know. People don't know.
Yeah. So like, so it's kind of like, even if you're like, if you were to get into an argument with someone about something and you're like, well, I've been here for 8 years and I was here for all these things, like, they wouldn't care. But like an account that has like thousands of followers, like, they'll like revere them or listen to them or think that they know better or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen that. Oh my God. Like, you should listen to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just saying that the experiences, like, to have experienced them together with the idol, that's very meaningful. And like, there are things like first wins and stuff like that. Like, collecting those memories is addicting, and that makes you want to stay for longer. Because imagine being a fan of a group for, let's say, a year or two, and you're kind of not as interested in them anymore, or like the amount of years doesn't matter. You just kind of want to follow them still, or like see like what they're doing, or like kind of like keep up, because they're like important to you because of the previous experiences. But also, I don't know, maybe at that point when you're like kind of like growing out of K-pop or like stuff like that, you don't really crave for the new ones anymore, but you hold the old ones really close to your heart. It's really hard to like completely like leave. You need to check on them sometimes. Like, that's my group. And like, we have all those memories, quote unquote, together. And it's like the idols really, really are trying to build the sense of community with the fandom names. So it's like, to be honest, kind of culty, but it's still wholesome.
It is culty. It is culty.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's all part of like the investment. It's like these shared experiences, these shared moments, and like how they kind of accumulate and stuff like that. And like, because, and it is like linked to parasocialism, because fans kind of like know a lot more about K-pop idols than like fans of other artists would know about their artists. Like, we know everything. Because they show us so much. There's so much content, and they do live streams, and they do like
interviews, Q&As.
They do interviews, and they're interact with people on social media and in, like, sometimes messaging apps and stuff like that. So like, there's kind of a couple components. Part of it is like, it's the interaction. There's so many opportunities for interaction, and it's also the content. We just get so much content from them, and that kind of makes us human beings just naturally feel like a personal connection. Like, when you were seeing, it's not unfiltered, but it kind of like gives the impression of being like quote unquote unfiltered or quote unquote candid, sort of like with like the live streams and the messaging. Like, you think like, oh, this is just them as a person, sort of. And it's kind of like, and like as fans, we watch their journeys. We interact with them a lot. We get a lot of content from them, but we are like also watching their journeys, and we are going along with them through these journeys, and we are like interacting with them and sharing these moments and experiences with them. And so that leads to people feeling personal investments in this K-pop stuff, in their idols and stuff like that. And like, that is something that, like you said, like there is something addicting about it, but it's something that just like, it keeps you there. How it is in relationships, like any kind of relationships or connections with like, you know, people in real life, where it's like when you share moments and experiences together, like that kind of deepens your connections with people. And like that also kind of like builds into like the investment that you feel in that relationship and in the other person and like stuff like that.
Yeah, you're so right that it's not really addiction anymore. It's like you kind of feel like you have to at that point. Like, it's not that you don't want to check on them, but it's like
you've invested so much. You've invested so much like time, and you've like have like history with them, and you've like consumed so much content that you just naturally like feel this like deep connection and investment in them.
Yeah. This kind of overlaps with like one of my points earlier, but where I said that like seeing your favorite artist grow as artists and people, like that's rewarding. And like you literally see them grow, especially if that idol is like young. And like it makes it even like, for me, one of my idols, or like actually one of my ultimate bias, is like born the same year as me. And that made it even better, I guess.
Well, it made it more significant because you were like literally going through like the same kind of phases in life at the same time.
And I was kind of young, and they were like young too, and like I felt like we quote unquote grew up together. That's what what I said. That's debatable if we grew up together, but like sort of.
Well, you actually like gave me an idea, or like you make a really good point there that I think most people feel this kind of natural desire to like want to see like people or things grow, or they want to see kind of progress and changes. Like it kind of makes you think about like, you know, like Tamagotchis or like farming games or something, or just any games. Like people kind of they kind of like to see like people or things just kind of grow and develop, sort of. Yeah. And like want to be there, like want to be a part of it, and want to be a part of that process and be kind of contributing to it. Like almost kind of like, it makes me think it's almost kind of like a nurturing thing, sort of, in a way. But there's like, but it's not just nurturing. It's like, because I think with K-pop, it is more about this kind of shared experience, but at the same time, there is that kind of a little bit of a similar component, because I feel like there are a lot of fans that kind of like, one of my K-pop mutuals, or one of my mutuals on Twitter, it kind of made me laugh, but I'm like, now I'm kind of thinking about like, maybe it's a little bit true. She said that like fans are kind of like moms to their idols. like she's like, the longer you're a fan, the more you become like a mom to your idols. And she said, she's like, when I first got into K-pop, I didn't get it. She's like, but now I get it. Like I feel more increasingly like their mom. Like, and there is that kind of component where it's like, there are these shared experiences, but at the same time, fans like do kind of like think of idols, I feel like, in that way a little bit, where it's like this kind of like, it's kind of momish a little bit. Like it isn't meant to be, but it kind of is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if like,
if you agree, or if you can think of examples.
I'm obviously like, what first comes to my mind is like older fans, but like, do younger fans? But she's not. She's like your age. She's like your age. Like younger fans feel that way. Like you'll even see like 16-year-old fans like kind of acting like moms to like idols who might be older than them. You know, honestly, like that's the thing. Yeah. And so it is more like it is kind of more like being like either like a mom, or like I should say a mom or a mother, father / like parenting kind of figure, or like a video game where you're raising your Tamagotchi, or you're raising your farm animals in this game. Yeah, I remember. I literally remember saying like, my bias's name, like they evolved into the next era idol name.
Yeah, it's kind of like, don't you feel like it is kind of like that?
Like Pokemon?
Yeah. There is I know that some fans are going to be uncomfortable with this like kind of way of describing it, but like that is kind of a thing. It's like there are reasons why like games like Pokemon, you know, or like Harvest Moon or Tamagotchi, or there's a reason like why like we find that entertaining, but we also like have this kind of like, we do find that addicting. We do find like games, like things like that addicting, like watching people, like being a part of people's growth and journeys and watching them evolve and mature. We do have that. And so I think K-pop does kind of appeal to that kind of internal sort of like desire instinct that we have. And like that is part of what makes it addicting, is what I was going to say. Even though that wasn't something you like articulated in your theory, I think that it's built into what you were talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
Was there anything else you wanted to add, or did you feel like that was everything?
That was everything.
Okay. Well, I think we're good to move on to my next point or theory then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so my next theory for the question of why do people get addicted to K-pop is K-pop fans usually have some void that they're trying to fill or going through something, and K-pop helps to either fill that void or they use it as a way to cope. So that was like, that was one of the points that I had read earlier, and that was also one of the ones that I think kind of overlap with some of yours a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah, but it's like a little bit different. So there's overlap in our points, but we're also kind of focusing on different aspects of them. So I feel like this is really common for a lot of K-pop fans and is one of the reasons why so many people get addicted to K-pop. Like, you see or hear it all the time on K-pop stan Twitter. Like, there are so many fans who talk about how they were going through some kind of crisis or having a really hard time when they discovered K-pop or got into K-pop. And that's why many of them say that they, quote-unquote, found K-pop at the right time. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like, people say it all the time on, like, Stan Twitter, or probably other K-pop, online K-pop communities, too.
And I've said that, so...
You've said that. Yeah, you've said that. Like, and... Yeah, I feel like that's, like, a really common reason why a lot of, like, K-pop fans, like, get into K-pop and why they get addicted to K-pop. But, like I said, like, many of them say that they, quote-unquote, found K-pop at the right time. But actually, it's more like the reason they got into K-pop and may have gotten addicted to K-pop is precisely because they were going through a crisis, like any kind of crisis, or having a hard time. And K-pop helped them to cope or help to fill a certain void in their lives. And there are various things that can be lacking in a person's life that they feel they can get from K-pop. But I think, like, some of the big things that are lacking in a lot of people's lives are connection. Like, a lot of people are lonely and may not have friends or many friends or people that they, like, can talk to, or a partner in their lives. Love, support, encouragement, positivity or optimism, hope, etc. Like, and there are many other things too. And I feel like the K-pop industry is very aware that many people are lonely, and many people have mental health issues, and many people feel neglected, and many people feel like they aren't treated right, and many people feel unloved, etc. And, like, the K-pop industry is very good at appealing to people who are dealing with those things and presenting a quote-unquote solution to their problems or the things they feel are lacking in their lives. So
for many people, it actually wasn't a coincidence that they got into K-pop during that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a subconscious kind of, like, they looked for it.
Yeah, or not even that they were looking for it. It's just like they were open to it because...
And then, like, they got into it.
Yeah, it's like... Because haven't you noticed that too? Like, I feel like I've seen so many people, like, on Stan Twitter be like, you know, they always say, you know, I was going through a really hard time and then I found my idols at the right time. You know what I mean? Like, and it feels kind of fatalistic. It feels like it was kind of like fate or something, but it's like, actually you got into K-pop or you found them because there was something going on inside of you and you were kind of subconsciously drawn to K-pop or drawn to your idols because of what's going on inside of you without realizing it.
Yeah. And sometimes K-pop fans even say, that the group or, like, the idols found me. Like, they found me at the right time. That's an interesting way to, like, say it. And that sounds even more like fatalistic.
Yeah, for sure.
There are many things that K-pop could be a solution to. Like, it could be a solution to boredom, to loneliness, and in my case, identity crisis.
Yeah.
Sorta. Like, literally, now that I think about it, almost every K-pop fan has a story like that.
Yeah, exactly,
like,
exactly.
When I got into them, or, like, when I heard about this group, I was so depressed and
that's like the most common one. Yeah, I was so depressed. I was going to, like, a really low point.
And, like,
yeah,
it's like good that people find comfort in things. But yeah, I can't help but think, like, what happens after when you, like,
I mean,
get
there's
bored
a dark side.
Happens.
Yeah,
there's a dark side to it.
Yeah, there's a dark side to it for sure. I think generally it is good that people do find K-pop because I feel like you do get things out of it. And, like, you do kind of, like, I think once you kind of become a K-pop stan and you're kind of into K-pop and standing for a while, like, you do change, you know, during that time. And, like I said, in some ways for better, in some ways for worse, maybe. Sometimes more for better for some and more for worse for others. But you do change, and it's like, I don't, like, we shouldn't dismiss, like, we're not gonna, that's not, like, the topic. We're not gonna, like, dismiss kind of what it could potentially do for people, because it does, at the very least, provide, like, some kind of temporary solution. I think we can agree on that. It does provide a temporary solution to people's problems or to certain things they feel are lacking in their lives. It's just not a permanent solution. I think that's really the most diplomatic way to say it. Yeah.
That's so well said. And it's like, it's worth saying that temporary solutions aren't like always bad. Like there was kind of before that one episode where we were talking about this. Was it our last episode? I was kind of like, was it all for nothing? Like not nothing, but you know.
Was it kind of like a waste of time, sort of?
Waste of time.
Did it not lead me? Did it not lead me anywhere, sort of?
Yeah. To the people who didn't listen to that episode, I was in an identity crisis, got into K-pop, that helped me. And then when I got slightly out of K-pop, I started having a crisis again. And I was like, okay, so it was only a distraction. However, I ended up coming to the conclusion that it actually helped me to a direction. And there were things that I did find about myself, like parts, like some things. So temporary solutions actually like can help you. Like it sounds bad. Like it sounds like a bandage. Like,
well, bandages aren't bad though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Bandages aren't bad.
Yeah.
Hashtag bandages aren't bad. It just sounds like hashtag.
No, yeah. I mean, like, sometimes you need temporary solutions, like, to kind of, like, help you get through things, or, like, to kind of, I don't know, have a transition period, or, like, a time to kind of pivot, or
have more time.
Have more time to kind of, before you, because permanent solutions are hard to find. That's much harder to figure out, and that takes much longer, and it's a lot more effort and stuff like that. And so it's like, I think the most important thing is that, like, temporary solutions are fine as long as you don't think that those temporary solutions are permanent solutions, and you are still committed to finding or figuring out, like, a permanent solutions. You know what I mean? Like, like, temporary solutions are fine, but, like, I think the problem that a lot of K-pop fans run into is, like, the people who say K-pop, quote-unquote, saved me, and they really believe that. K-pop fans will say, like, K-pop is free therapy, or my idol smile is free therapy. And, like, they kind of, like, K-pop fans joke about stuff like that, and it's, like, it's problematic if you think that that's, like, all that you need to, like, actually get better or to solve your problems. And I know that K-pop fans will just be like, or no, I shouldn't say all K-pop fans, but some K-pop fans will be like, it's just a meme. Like, no one actually means that. No one actually believes that. Like, can't you take a joke? Like, we're just kidding. Like, I know that there are fans who will kind of defend it and stuff like that, but, like, there are a lot of fans who I think that they do think that just, like, being into K-pop is a substitute for, like, therapy or for other things. Yeah.
Those jokes are coming from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming from, like, even if, like, everybody, quote unquote, like, knows that, like, it's not, that that's not actually true, or that they need more than that. Like, a lot of fans do kind of believe that, or sort of do, I think, kind of, at least subconsciously, if not consciously, think that that's true. And they kind of think, like, you know, I had depression before, but once I got into K-pop, they kind of maybe sort of superficially feel like they don't have depression anymore. But then if their idols are inactive or something happens, then all of a sudden the depression comes back. And it's like, it's because it was always there. It was just being kind of, like, masked. And it's kind of like it was being covered up, sort of, or like you were distracting yourself from it. And it's kind of like, K-pop is a Band-Aid for your problems, and Band-Aids are good. But if you have a gaping wound, a Band-Aid is not going to be all that you need to treat it. You know what I mean? Like, it can kind of like cover it up a little bit and kind of stop the bleeding a bit, or, like, kind of help, but it's not all that you need. We all need to put in the work to kind of actually properly fill those voids in our lives, and actually properly overcome the problems that we face, and actually find real solutions, real permanent solutions.
Yeah. And I think that many K-pop fans think that they'll be into K-pop forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of a problem.
Or they kind of doom themselves to kind of be into K-pop forever because they don't know what else to do. I think that's also a problem.
Yeah.
It's like it's not just thinking that they'll be into K-pop forever. It's like they feel like, I don't know what else. Like they think, I don't know what else to do. This is the only thing I feel that kind of works or kind of makes me feel better or happier, or that eases the loneliness or distracts me in the right ways or whatever. So it's like they just kind of don't know how else. They don't know how to live without it, kind of. And they kind of set themselves up to like be dependent on K-pop for the long term.
Yeah, I get that you don't want to think about the time when you're not a fan anymore, when you're like really into something. Like you just want to enjoy. But like you might regret it if you haven't prepared at all, or if you're not like ready for it. Like if you don't know what to do, if like something suddenly makes you grow out of K-pop. Well, growing sounds like it happens just like slowly and naturally, but there might be an incident that kind of forces you out. And then if you don't have anything else to do, for example, or whatever your problem is, if you haven't dealt with that problem that you had while you were a K-pop fan, it can be really, really kind of like shocking.
Yeah. If you're just kind of getting lost in being a fan and just focusing only on being a fan and aren't doing any kind of like real work in your life to kind of like take notice of these problems or these kind of these voids, these lacks in your life. If you're just like getting lost in being a fangirl / fanboy / fan person, and you're not like paying attention to or dealing with these actual like problems that you have, then like what are you gonna do if like something regarding your idol happens and like you can't use them as a distraction or escape anymore, or you can't use them to fill these voids in your life or as temporary solutions or band-aids for your problems anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to scare anyone, but like I want you to ask yourself, would you be ready if like you were forced, like literally forced, something happened where you just couldn't be a K-pop fan anymore? Would you be ready for a non-K-pop life? Like, do you have anything to do? Are you ready to face your problems? Have you been facing your problems while already? I think honestly, if you take anything from this episode, like take that.
Yeah. Like if you are kind of like forced out of your K-pop life for one reason or another, or your K-pop life is just kind of like everything just kind of becomes inactive for one reason or another. You literally can't be as absorbed in K-pop as you were before for one reason or another. Are you ready to face reality? And are you ready to kind of handle the problems that you have? Are you ready to kind of confront the problems that you have? And like you said, have you been confronting them? Have you been dealing with things? If not, like, you have to think about that. You have to realize that it's like, you can't put all your eggs in one basket, and you can't just like, throwing yourself 100% into like being a fan is like not gonna, in reality, it's not gonna fix your problems. And so those problems are always going to be there unless you actually do something about them. And it's like maybe you think or have tricked yourself into believing that those problems have been somehow magically taken care of since you became a fan. But actually, if you ever stop becoming a fan or forced to like, you can't be as absorbed in being a fan anymore, then it's like those problems are still going to be there and you're still going to have to deal with them. And you have to kind of be ready for that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well,
this was a fun episode. Like we got really deep.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I think this was really fun and engaging and interesting, and I hope that other people feel the same way. that they also found interesting and engaging. And I'm glad that we were able to kind of delve deep and actually talk about some of these issues deeper.
Yeah. Okay. That's it for today's discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and set notifications if you would like to get alerts when there are new episodes of the K-pop Callout.
We want you to join the conversation with us, so let us know what your opinions or theories are in the comments. We upload new episodes every month on both YouTube and Spotify. Anyways, we'll see you again for the next episode. Bye!
Bye!